A little summary of the breakout sessions where we're just having some deeper conversation. And so now we're going to summarize a few of the key themes and questions that we'd like to dive into over the coming months. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you. So I'll try to be as concise as possible. A lot was said. We talked about decolonizing peace work and looking into theories of change. We talk about localizing peace work as well. We wanted to look into connections between peace and poverty and lacking basic needs, unlearning issues in the church, resource allocation. How do you recruit, sustain, and support peacemakers? There is a big theme about how do we also become advocates of peace towards evangelicals who don't necessarily see it as important and only focus on evangelism. Some of the key questions that were asked are, how do we support peace builders? What do peace builders need? What does a devotional life look like for a peace builder? How do we remain financially stable as peace builders? Let me see. There was a lot of contextual conversations about the different continents and countries we come from. So there was talk that particularly in the continent of Africa, the reconciliation is also needed in the church. And we should start with ourselves. How do we heal the divides? How do we address community issues? Anyway, I'll stop there. I hope I got most of what we talked about at least, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
It sounds like it was so rich. And if you want to go ahead, Kendra, and then first Kendra, and then if a few people want to jump in with a few key things they heard and try to keep it short so we can hear from one another. Go ahead, Kendra.
Yes, I also, like Daniel, will try to be concise. So much good stuff was said. We had a lot of actually really similar themes, it sounds like, to the other group. We also talked about the challenge of conversion and like evangelism in our peacemaking. How do those things interplay? What's problematic? How do we like come to a core about what we believe about the kingdom of God and what Jesus says that can inform our peacemaking practice and our peacemaking work in a way that isn't perpetuating violence and isn't scaring people off or like causing them to be afraid. And so, of course, like your group, we have various contexts represented, but this comes to bear in each context uniquely. But Jabraj gave us some really powerful insight from Chennai and how this looks in India in this challenge of conversion and how that actually gets in the way of their capacity for peacemaking. And I think others in our groups are facing that same challenge. We talked about decolonizing peacemaking too, really addressing foundations and structures. It's like at the root of systems that we have to address as Christians. We talked about proximity to power or lack of proximity to power. How does that come to bear in our peacemaking? How do we need to redistribute that and reorient and leverage those things to move forward truly as peacemakers? So I think that's a challenge that we want to talk about. We talked about like the way we fear things we don't understand, and we were thinking specifically about the LGBTQ community and others who are different, and how do we like fold these beloveds in, and how do we operate as peacemakers? I have like pages of notes. I'm sure I missed some really rich things, but anyone from my group, feel free to jump in if I've mischaracterized or missed something important.
Maybe it'd actually be helpful to think if there's like one question, and if you really have your question already in mind, then go more quickly because you're not allowed to repeat questions. But if you have one question to kind of or theme that we were talking about, you're like, this would be one core theme or question that we talk about X month in the future. So name that, and we'll just write each of them down. So one from each person, and then so you'll have to get more creative and dive deeper into the conversation if you go closer to the end. Does that sound good? All right. So, okay, what is one theme that or one question you want to tackle?
Okay, I will go first. What it means to be in the kingdom of God and to advance the kingdom of God. It's very fundamental. It's a very fundamental question for Africa.
That's good, Philip. That's really good. It's got me thinking.
I'm thinking of questions related to superstitions in Christianity. While we talk about superstitions in other religions, what are the superstitions in Christianity? That can open eyes in many ways. So
I would love to hear from the different organizations working in different contexts or different practitioners. What are the most effective ways you found to begin the work of deconstruction and reconstruction in ways that Christians find helpful rather than triggering to fear? Actually helps with some of these transition processes to acknowledge fear and dive into reevaluating our faith. Like, how does that become accessible for our Christian communities?
I think I'm going to share what I was sharing with our team in the group. For us as Pilgrim Center for Reconciliation, one of the most important tools that we have actually, I find very, very, very strange and very welcoming is the invitational approach that we always give to people wherever in every society that we go to. It's more of us, even in the sessions that we have, we do more of an invitational call, regardless of religion, regardless of background, regardless of anything. Because even when we call people for our healing and reconciliation retreats, we call all people. And that call that is given out, because most times we give our people of peace on ground letters, they invite people to come into this retreat, and giving them that invitation of a letter to come in and see what and experience what they experience. It opens doors for them to actually be agents of change, but also agents of what we are talking about. I remember two incidences where we have had Muslim clergies coming into our retreats. We have actually had what we call the witch doctors, the witches, coming into our healing and reconciliation retreats. People that would be thought that they are outcasts, but they're coming in and they get to know that they really need what we're speaking. So I think the invitational approach where we invite people at the table, and our seating arrangement is on at a circle. We make that circle whereby everyone is equal, regardless of anything, that we can sit down and we look at each other as one. So I believe that will be something that we can, if we can adopt it, it may be far-reaching for us to lay a foundation on whatever we are trying to build, and leaving out the other approaches that may be, well, this is what we have been doing for 5-10 years. This is out of experience. This is out of what we have done, and also that brings into the local context of how people in that very area understand it. How do you welcome them? Are you observing all the other virtues that they speak or they think about? So I think with that, I'll just keep on adding if we get more time or during the other sessions.
No, this is great. Thank you so much, Bob. And thank you so much, everyone. So we're right at our time. So we will definitely stop here for now, but I'm looking forward to getting the notes from each of the small group leaders, and then we will be having more discussion to start to provide some more pointed conversation about some of these different questions and areas for our coming calls. But this was fantastic, and I really enjoyed connecting with those, especially my small group, as we get to dive a bit deeper, but with all of you. So thank you so much to each of you. God bless, have a great day, and I look forward to connecting more.
Thank you.
Adios.
Nice meeting all of you.
Bye.
Bye bye.